I am very fortunate to find myself in a situation where I have the space and the means to afford all of these bikes. But the other day I thought to myself, what if I have to move into a smaller space and get rid of all but one of my bikes? Let's figure it out. Let's start out with my road bike. I do primarily ride mountain bikes, but I do like to hit the road as well. This is my 2015 Cannondale Cad 10 that I bought secondhand. For an aluminum bike, it is extremely light, weighing in at only 18 pounds. I've been through some aero bars on it to save more time off triathlons. This bike is great on the road, but that's about the only place it excels at. If I could only have one bike, it definitely would not be this, because I can't mountain bike on it. Next, we have my main trail bike. When I bought this bike back in 2018, it had some of the latest and greatest components. It has RockShox suspension front and rear with 130 millimeters of travel. Knobby Plus tires add even more cushion and grip to the ride. The bike has 180 millimeter rotors front and rear and some strong hydraulic brakes from Shimano. I had to add a dropper post myself though. The bike came stock with an NX 1x drivetrain, which dominated the market at this price point. In truth, I feel like this bike is overkill where I live. It was mellowing out the trails even more than they already were, and I never came close to using all the travel. When I took it up to more mountainous and rocky terrain, it did great, but because I don't live too close to all that stuff, I find myself barely riding this bike. And don't even think about riding this bike on the road. Even with the lockout engaged, this would not be my bike of choice if I could only have one. Next, we have a bike that I bought because I thought it was a great value and I always wanted to get my hands on a Polygon bike. This brand just became readily available here in North America within the last year. When I purchased this bike for $1,200 US, I thought it was a steal. It is a full suspension mountain bike as well and has a decent RockShox fork up front with some crazy wide bars, hydraulic disc brakes, and a dropper. The bike's X-Fusion shock isn't anything amazing, but it works, and of course the bike has a 1x drivetrain. This is a fantastic XC bike and does well around my local trails, but I have one major issue with this bike. I pedal strike on it all the time. I'm so tired of getting into a wreck every time my crank arm snags a small root or hits even a small rock. It is a great value bike and I did enjoy my time on it. However, due to the pedal strikes, this is one bike I would not take with me if I could only choose one. Last and certainly not least is my bike of choice, if I could only have one. It's my hardtail, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this hardtail, it could almost be any hardtail. This is my specialized Rockhopper. It doesn't feature the greatest components, it doesn't have an air shock, it doesn't have through axles with boost spacing, it doesn't have the most aggressive and knobby tires. It only has entry-level hydraulic disc brakes, but it does have a ton of room for water cages. This bike doesn't have a rear suspension, so it doesn't absorb shocks and blows as well, but is much more efficient than a full suspension mountain bike. The bike does feature a 1x setup, albeit a low-end one, but guess what? It just works. Hardtails are cost-effective and efficient. The reason I would take this as my one and only bike is because it can do it all. It may not be the best at mountain biking, but you can still go almost anywhere on it. If you want to go on long rides on greenways or gravel roads, this thing can do it all. You can throw some skinny slick tires on there and gain even more efficiency. The main point of this video is that if you can only have one bike and you need to either commute, ride greenways, gravel roads, or hit some gnarly trails, basically a hardtail is the best bike for you. They're more cost effective and they're more efficient. Let me know in the comments below what one bike you guys would choose. Anyways, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more content like this.